The time of the year is June 2019. You've just stopped Anthony Joshua. You've become unified heavyweight champion of the world. Yes, you have a rematch clause in place, but you've just stopped the guy already. You would be confident of doing it again. And even if you lose, you've catapulted yourself onto the world scene. So you would imagine that the sky is the limit for a certain Andy Ruiz. Well, we had the 4 year anniversary of that fight back last year, the end of last year, December time. Come December this year, it will be 5 years. Come June, when we're not too far away from June, we're only about 2 months away from June, it will be 5 years. Quick 5 years, very quick, shockingly quick, scarily quick 5 years. But 5 years since then. In those 5 years, Andy Ruiz has fought a grand total of 3 times. Three. Less than four, more than two in 5 years. That's just not good enough. That's just not good enough. He fought Anthony Joshua in the rematch in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was only starting to get, on the map at that stage. Amir Khan had done a show there. I know they'd done the final of the World Boxing Super Series there. A middleweight, or super middleweight. They were going to do a cruiserweight there, but they ended up moving it to Russia. Morakasia they did that. But this was kind of the start, the kickoff of Saudi Arabia. Came in at I don't think it was his career heaviest, but he was certainly heavy, 283. Joshua came in nice and light. And yeah, you looked and you thought, okay, he clearly didn't do the training. But Andy Ruiz, how old is he now? It doesn't have his age listed at box rec, but he's not the oldest. I think at the time he would have been, 30 years old, thereabouts. So he wasn't old. You could say, okay, look, he had his Buster Douglas moment. He upset Anthony Joshua. He didn't do the training. Pretty much exactly what Buster Douglas did, although he didn't get stopped. He lost the title straight back, but he still has talent. He's young enough, he can come again. And then 2020, we don't hear anything. And then he does a fight against Chris Arreola in May of 2021. I think that may have had fans in it. I'm not too sure. I think it might have. It was in Carson, California. It might have had fans. I'm not 100% sure, but he came in quite well, by his standards, light. 256, he'd Eddie Reynoso in the corner. Against Chris Arreola, a fairly unremarkable heavyweight, even in his prime. By this stage, he'd retired a couple of times. And has Arreola fought since then? Yes, he has. He fought last year. But he'd lost to Kalnacki 2 years prior. He'd had a fight in 2019. He'd won in 2018. And he was stopped by Wilder 2 years earlier. So, and Chris Arreola hadn't really been a contender since 2012, 2013. 2013 was the last time he was a recognisable contender, and here he is fighting Chris Arreola on pay-per-view and getting dropped early on. I think that was in round 2. Getting dropped by Arreola. We're thinking, okay, that was a bit of a blip on the radar, but plenty of time to still come back. We wait then over a year. 2022. September 2022, he fights an ancient Luis Ortiz. I think that might have been on pay-per-view as well. Ortiz actually came back to the ring January this year. That was his he didn't fight at all last year. But with Andy Ruiz, we're still no sooner to finding out when he's going to be back. September is in, less than 6 months away? So he's less than 6 months, then he'll be out of the ring 2 years. As I said, it'll be 5 years now come June that he fought Anthony Joshua, and he's had 3 fights. 3 fights. What is going on there? Now, I know Andy Ruiz has had personal problems. You only have to Google search Andy Ruiz, and it says, there's an article here 4 weeks ago, and it says, Andy Ruiz Jr., I locked myself at home, ate a lot, smoked, drank. When he says smoke, he's not talking about smoking cigars, I would imagine. It's something a bit, more Bob Marley-ish than smoking cigars. Let's use that word. And yeah, I don't know with this guy. And do you know why it's frustrating with someone like an Andy Ruiz? It's frustrating because with him, we have a very good heavyweight, a very entertaining heavyweight, and a heavyweight who on his day could really cause an awful lot of trouble. Now, we did hear rumours last summer that Tyson Fury was looking to fight Andy Ruiz, and apparently Andy Ruiz was looking for too much money. I could well believe that, to be honest. That's one of the few times I'd look and say, do you know what, I could probably believe Team Fury in that situation, because it does sound like something he'd do. Is it a case now for Andy Ruiz that I've made my money against Anthony Joshua? The hunger for boxing, the hunger for fighting is well and truly gone. I went into camp with Canelo Alvarez is, whatever you say about him, his work ethic is second to none. Canelo Alvarez has made more money. He has made generation after generation of generation money. So his whole family for generations to come will be set for life. Canelo Alvarez has done it all. He has made insane sums of money. But the hunger is still there. The hunger to fight is still there. Not Benavidez, but the hunger is still there to fight nonetheless. He still goes through the camps. He still wants to fight twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year if he can get away with it. He's still fighting at top level. He's still putting himself through the mill of going through all them camps where he's made way more money than someone like an Andy Ruiz. But yeah, Andy Ruiz gets those 2 big paydays, is in camp with Canelo, and even then, that's not enough to motivate him. Again, the reason why I'm kind of frustrated with Ruiz is because he is so talented. There's such a, for someone of Andy Ruiz's dimensions, we'll say 6'2", 74-inch reach. Yeah, he's not going to be winning a jab battle with a lot of these big guys, but he is so good on the front foot counterpunching. His hands are so fast. If only he was able to stay in shape in the 240s, 230s safely and stay at that weight, we would have such a problem because he'd have the foot speed to go with the hand speed. Oh, we would, and he'd probably be able to, actually probably be hitting a bit harder as well. He'd be able to rotate himself a little bit more, twist into the shots more. We would have such a talent on our hands here. And again, it's frustrating because the time out of the ring, I'm thinking that's time where you could be working on yourself. There's time where you could be doing stuff. There's time where you could be, trying to shift a little bit of that way. You could be doing all these things and you're not. And that's frustrating. And that is frustrating because it's like there's still so much there on offer for Andy Ruiz. 34 years old. He'll be 35 in September, it says here, September 11th. So there's still a little bit of time left, but yikes. He was 29 years old when he beat Anthony Joshua. He's now going on 35 and he's fought 3 times. Unbelievable. Would you argue that would you argue that in some ways him beating Joshua was the worst thing that happened to him? Financially, no, but in terms of his career and being able to progress, maybe. You would say it's not the worst thing that happened to him because he absolutely made the bag from it, but you get what I'm saying. It's like the career just, it was going, it went, and it just, like that, just downhill. Sad, because I like Andy Ruiz and I'd like to see him in some good fights, and especially now when you see the Saudis, they're putting on great shows regardless, but they Turki Al Sheikh seems to like the heavyweights. I like the heavyweights, so whenever I see a guy who seems to like the heavyweights and he's putting them on, I'm always like, you get 2 thumbs up from me. Andy Ruiz could be part of that. He could be in there with the likes of Frank Sanchez, Ajay Kabayel, Anthony Joshua, Dylan White, Filip Hrgovic, etc. But no. Even Deontay Wilder. I've always fancied Wilder in that fight, but the Wilder who turned up against Parker, man, Andy Ruiz would have had a field day, I think, there. Shame. That's what I gotta say. And I hope that it's not too late for him to be able to do something. I was gonna say cautionary tale, but it's not really. A cautionary tale implies that someone's really gone off the rails and they've really effed it up big time. Andy Ruiz hasn't done that. Certainly not yet. I hope he doesn't. Touch wood, I hope he definitely doesn't. But in terms of young fighters staying hungry, and for me, it's kind of like you can have more shots, you can have more pay, you can have more of all this. Never mind the loss, you can have more of all this, but you just didn't want it. And that's basically it. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section. I wanted to talk about that for a while because it's frustrating. I like Andy Ruiz. I think he's a great fighter. He's got so much talent there, but just not seeing it. Not seeing it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe as always if you haven't already. I've just got done doing a 3-video record. I don't normally do a recording session where I record multiple videos. It's tiring, but I do enjoy talking. I do enjoy talking boxing, and I do enjoy doing this. So, as tiring as it is, it's still very much enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace, lads.